Welcome everyone to episode 7 of the draft. I was just plugging in my headphones there as we got going because I noticed some feedback. This is going to be a great show. We'll talk about the Straight Talk Wireless 400 at Homestead, Miami Speedway. Always a fun track to go to. Oh, that's a sick shirt, Tino. Nice, nice. Um, Vegas was fun. It's kind of cool. We get this race coming right off of Vegas because it's kind of similar. And we saw a lot of speed out of a lot of cool cars last week, so it should be a fun one. Phil, you got a hockey game tonight. I know. And good luck in that. We're gonna not rush through the show, but we're gonna make it a quick one. We're gonna have good, insightful details and stats and everything about the drivers. But I do think, and maybe you guys will surprise me, I do think this could be a very chalky one. But we'll get into it. Phil, big hockey guy, how you doing tonight?
Good. Yeah, there's no need to rush this show tonight, boys. I'm set up here in the cafe area of the rink, waiting for my locker room to open up. I'm sure I'll get some chirps in the chat, which I can't see because I'm on my phone. So if anyone's chirping me, Tino, you gotta let me know. But yeah, we got a game tonight, playoff game, and wanted to get up here to make sure I was able to jump on with you guys. So feeling good and excited to be talking Homestead. I think this, for the most part, for the big teams, I think this is going to be chalky, but there's a few that could be the difference makers here. So it'll be interesting to see, how we go on some of the not lower level teams, but the, mid tier teams. There's some question marks.
I think they would prefer to be called up and coming. I think that's a good way.
Yeah.
Uh, Tino, how'd you enjoy the race last week? How you doing? How you feeling about Homestead? It's gonna be fun. Oh, and you were
Oh
there
yeah.
too, boots on the ground. So how was the dirt race? How was everything, man? That's awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Vegas was an awesome time. Um, like I posted and you retweeted it, absolute cinema. It was one of the greatest experiences. And I've been there a couple times, but each time I go back, it just gets better and better. The mountains, the scenery, the sun shining down on the different colored cars as along the yellow and gold barriers around the racetrack. To me, one of my favorite places to be. I did some work for SiriusXM NASCAR Radio while I was there, sports over Jason Page as well. And I got to see Brian and Kyle. Awesome to meet them in person. They're in the chat as well, so I'll bring them up. Perfect timing. Brian saying, let's get it, boys, live from the golf course. And it got to salute my man Kyle as well. It was awesome to see those guys. And yeah, Brian saying the second flyover, he was trying to let us know the flyover was great. I don't know if you guys caught it on social media or not, but it came right over our heads. And he was like, wow, last year or one of the years, they did it twice. I was like, oh, that's crazy. We're walking back down pit road. There they come again, fly right over our heads, like spooked a lot of people. But it was just an awesome atmosphere, great race. We got to see 100-1 winner and Josh Berry. So many people were hyped for him, including myself. Obviously, want to make some money, but to see a great storyline like that and to be there live in person, to be around great friends like Brian and Kyle along the way, couldn't have asked for a better show in Vegas.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I posted that thing, the video that you posted, and I was like, man, I got to get to a race at Vegas, and all of the comments are the same exact sentiment. Just yes, you have to get there. It's awesome, easy to get in and out of, just a great experience, from start to finish. So that's definitely now, on the bucket lister. So I wanna get out there and see a race. Maybe it'll happen this fall. We'll see. I might go to Daytona. We'll see what happens. I got to pick one of the two. I can't go to both. We'll see what happens. But all right. So yes, Josh Berry won. That was awesome. I'm curious to see if he carries that speed over into this race, and curious to see if one of you draft him on your teams tonight. So that'll be fun. Let's jump right into Homestead, the Straight Talk Wireless 400. Phil, I'm not going to forget it this week. Let's do a quick race preview about Homestead.
Yeah, so it might sound familiar because the stage breaks are pretty much exactly the same. Another 400-mile race. We got 267 laps, so 80 laps in stage one, 85 in stage two, 102 to end it this week. Just like last week on this mile-and-a-half racetrack, they come here once a year, so the data sets are a little bit more limited. We've had the winner start from the pole 4 times in the history of the track. Last time it happened was the last time we were here, and a little bit of a wrench thrown into things because most folks are used to this being at the end of the schedule, moving it to the spring. There's only really one comp recently around that. And as far as manufacturer trends go, we've got Ford kind of struggling. 0 next gen wins, and they haven't won since Joey Logano won the championship back in like 2018. So it's been a Chevy Toyota duel, really the last, I don't know how many years, 6, 7 years. So something to consider there. This is the same tire compound that we saw a week ago at Vegas, same tire compound as we saw last time we were in Homestead, just a few months back. So something to keep in mind there. And I think that's all, other than just another 25-minute practice session. Saw a clip from Dale Jr. this week. I don't know if you guys saw that, but just talking about how in the future he predicts, real practice coming back, and feels like gamblers would benefit from that if that were to be the case. But yeah, 25 minutes on Saturday, and that's all we got.
That's awesome. On Win the Race, I do the practice scores, as you guys have seen, and we were rock solid last week. Some bad stuff happened when Blaney took some cars out, but other than that, I mean, we're pretty spot on. We plan on doing the same this week. Same tire compound. That's nice, as Vegas and Homestead. One other thing I looked up, because it is a different time in the schedule, the temperature, humidity, cloud cover, all that seemed identical to what we saw in the fall. So I don't think any of that's really any different, except it's not a playoff race. So, perhaps some drivers race a little differently. We'll see. But I think overall, a pretty predictable race for us. So it should be a lot of fun. The odds are pretty tough. So I don't know how many bets we'll be giving out tonight. But yeah, should be a fun one. It's always a great track to watch them racing. So, all right. If you're new to the show, we draft one driver from every team you see on the left here, 8 teams. And then we draft a best of the rest, any driver from, it's not on any of those teams. Then we draft a wild card, can be from any team, even if we've drafted someone from that team, and any driver that's left over. So tonight, we're going to start 23-11. Tino, you are on the board. First pick, 23-11. Again, might be a little chalky, but let's see if we get some surprises as we go here. Who do you got to lead it off?
Well, it's got to be one of the drivers who is the master at ripping the fence. Says it on my shirt on the back. Can't take the jacket off. It's Tyler Reddick. It's Tyler Reddick all the way at Homestead Miami Speedway, as it should be, as I hope you guys feel the same. After the move he was able to pull off last year to beat Ryan Blaney off of the final corner, to me, I see another reason why to bet him this weekend, honestly, to win this race outright. Right now he's plus 600, and yeah, we can say all the values are low, but this is a track where the big dogs are going to eat. And this is Reddick, and this is his prime, and I think he's due for a victory. We saw him, and we were hyping him up last weekend to win it potentially in Vegas, which to me seemed like a great deal. And then we obviously saw how everything unfolded there. Had a good car, but not a race-winning car. And I think when he goes to Homestead Miami, with him, to me, it feels like he's due. He's been having a good stretch of races, but has not dominated, has not showcased, him leading laps that much or winning stages, anything like that. I think it's going to be a battle between him and a bunch of other drivers I'm sure we're going to be talking about, but I just love Tyler Reddick so much in this one. I don't care what his price is. I'm going to be betting on him outright to win this race because I feel like he can put it on pole, he can start top 5, and we'll see those numbers continuously go down throughout the weekend. While I'm talking here, I'll stop my talk about Tyler Reddick, but I will have to shout out my boys in the chat, Split Cut Coco. Check him out on YouTube, X, everywhere he's at. He is a big Tyler Reddick fan. He's saying Tino. We got Hot Pass in the Hot Pass podcast, and you're saying he's there. Kyle Larson can, okay, not going to finish that one, but he is giving us a shout out for Austin Dillon, top 10. Doesn't care what happened in the fall. Shout out to Chris, who's going to be in Homestead. First time for him. Congrats, Chris. Send us any content. Let us know who you're thinking of betting. And Brian will be there as well. So shout out to Brian, who will be at Homestead this weekend. Big Ross in the chat as well. So it's great to see everyone in the chat. Keep commenting. And yeah, Tyler Reddick for me all the way.
Ryan's great to have because he'll talk to the drivers and we'll get some insider info. So it's always fun to just see how they're feeling, and what we can learn along the way. I'm not going to shock the world here too. You said it best, Tyler Reddick. That's my pick for 23-11. We saw him lead almost 100 laps and win the last time out here back in October. Talked about the similarities to that race in October. So there's no reason to think was wicked fast last week. Just had a little bad strategy at the end there, but not all his fault. That got a little wonky strategy wise at the end. So Tyler Reddick, I think he has some race winning speed right now if he brings what he had last week, and is great here at ripping the top, like you said. So, Phil, who you got?
So yeah, mark me down for Reddick. I can't take a risk with you guys. As you know, you didn't mention it, which I appreciate, but I'm still goose egg in the win column, so I
Oh
can't take a
man,
risk here. I will say though, I think Big Ross just said it in the chat. Bubba is fast, or he was fast last week, and if I had any sort of balls whatsoever, I would take Bubba in this just to be different. But I think Tyler Reddick has a chance to win the race, as Tino said. So I don't want to, screw up that badly. Um, I will throw a bet out there though. Bubba over Kyle Busch is something that I talked about on my podcast this week. He was minus 120 if it's still there. That was on Bovada. The head-to-heads this week have been super weird and very tight. Tough to find an edge, but I know Win the Race had that fair at minus 136 in Bubba's favor. He's 2-0 in the next gen car versus Kyle. Kyle's not been the same since switching over to RCR at Homestead. So their numbers, neither one of them have like fantastic numbers here in next gen, but Bubba does qualify well, puts himself in position, and he was fast last week. I think he's building on that. So that's one to look at if you're interested in the bets. I figure I'd throw a little something different out there for this category.
yeah, that's another car that had a ton of speed last week until he got that damage. So, and has been strong here at Homestead recently. And teammates with Tyler Reddick. That's why we're talking about him. So they can show up fast here. I do love that bet. I don't have a Bovada account. Maybe I need to get on that. I don't have any overseas. I gotta. I don't know. I'm in my lane. I think I need to do it. I think I'm worried about getting paid out by them or something. Um, we well mentioned the St. Baldrick's Foundation. That's what Tino donated to. I don't know why I'm not giving Tino his love here. I'm juggling 3 or 4 things, but boom, there's the third victory. Tino leads the way,
Yeah.
wins the Pennzoil 400 draft show. So congrats, Tino. That was a great team. I'm a little angry I didn't take best of the rest AJ Allmendinger take down the win there. I know Phil probably has some regrets as well. But
The
True.
dice, the
Man.
dice roll.
Dice got me. I'm not the first person who went into Vegas and lost on the dice roll, but I will
yeah,
say
you should
this.
have had Denny roll it for you.
That's true. If I
Yeah,
had that ability, if I was Tino, boots on the ground, I would have made that happen.
yeah, that dude won a lot of money.
The one thing I will say, I don't know if anybody's keeping track of this, but if we were doing like a point system where first gets 3 points, second gets 2, boys, I think I finished second every single race. I'd have 10 points.
Yeah,
So I'm in the
Mr.
basement
Consistency.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
the bridesmaid.
Tino and I are checkers of records.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Phil, you lead it off then, front row. What do you got here for Homestead?
Well, I wasn't expecting to go first. I was kind of taking an approach that I would be taking the opposite. I
You can do that if
didn't
you want. I got no problem just reading mine off real quick if you want
go
to.
ahead. Read yours off. I
take
just
that
want to hear.
approach.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's pretty quick analysis here, just because I wasn't really close on this one, but I like Noah Gragson here, another driver that I thought showed a lot of speed last week. And the stats showed that too. He finished, 4 of 5 Xfinity races here at Homestead. He had top 5s in all 4 finishes, including a dominant win his last time out. He had the 13th best true average running position last week, and that was like 6 or 7 spots better than his teammates. So I got to go Gregson here and just hope that, he has some better luck along the way. But he's a guy that I like on this track type. So give me Gregson. Tino, let's let you go, and then we'll let Phil close it out then.
So I agree with you. And one thing I wanted to mention with Noah Gragson specifically is how we're sort of seeing maybe, obviously, Xfinity cars don't match up to Cup cars at all. But with Josh Berry's win in Las Vegas, and Ryan, you were alluding to it before the show when we were in our chat, can we see these guys who are good on Xfinity in these type of racetracks also carry that success over in the Cup Series? I think this is an instance where yes. So Noah Gragson for me is that example. Plus 375 right now on Caesars for a top 10 finish. I love those odds. This is the type of thing where AJ Allmendinger, Noah Gragson, Austin Dillon, we're talking about. Hot Pass mentioned it in the chat as well. Everyone talking there. We're going to see the big dogs eat, yes, but there's going to be guys that are just better at ripping the fence, getting the speed off corner exit, finding in on corner entry. Doesn't matter how loose your car is, making the most ground up that way and passing guys. To me, that is the key in this one for top 10 type of drivers. And Noah Gragson fits that bill perfectly. I think he has a strong run, was having a pretty good race at Las Vegas as well, that from what I was seeing until those late couple of wrecks. So give me Noah Gragson in that sense, and got to shout out the chat as well. The split cut saying Reddick is the GOAT. Hot pass again saying you're lame, Ryan. Yes, I don't remember what that was for, but you guys got.
He just comes in here to talk crap the whole time. Don't even bring him up again.
I'll keep doing it. I love the comments, so keep coming up. As
he knows,
Kyle saying he's got to get in the offshore, use crypto, and you'll be fine. Robert saying a lot of flyers on Gragson to win out there. That's gonna be impressive if he can. But that's the thing. Josh Berry did it. Why not Noah Gragson? Kyle Roberts saying Noah Gragson should have flirted with a top 10 last week. Agreed there. And the last one I'll bring up for now is a split cut. Everyone follow split cut. That's my voice saying Tino and Reddick being the GOAT. And I'll drink to that. I got my Monts for Tots here. I'm juiced up. I'm ready to go. Phil, what do you got for us?
Oh, juiced up. Dang. What you did say, though, is correct, because that's exactly why. Well, not exactly why, because there were some good runs from Dinger too at Vegas, but I alluded to Homestead and compared the two and mentioned AJ Allmendinger's Xfinity success at Vegas. So him and Barry both dominated Xfinity Vegas and showed up great last week. So yeah, totally agree with all that. Phil, what you got? Who are you pivoting to here?
Well, so here's the thing. I wrote this down. I didn't have a lot of stats. I didn't dive into front row too hard here, but I said this is an opportunity for me to try to be different just for the sake of trying to get some points. And Gragson is the obvious pick. Gragson has been killing me this year. If you're looking at his season, right, everything that Tino just said is perfect. It's exactly right. It's the exact same reason why we would say, yeah, Gragson top 10. He's going to run well. He could qualify, 12th, put himself in position. He's been doing that, except for closing out the race. I think he has one finish inside of 20. And so that's killing you. And I'm going to go to Todd Gilliland here just to be different, but also just someone who I know is going to finish clean and finish anywhere from 18th to 25th, and I'm taking the bet here, not that Todd Gilliland's going to be lights out, but it's going to be more so Noah Gragson fucks up and, does what he's done 4 out of the 5 times so far this year. I would be behind anyone who's saying yeah, top 10, I'll throw a sprinkle on him to win the race. I'm cheering for him. But in this category, I was kind of playing this like a debate club. However you guys went, I was going to take the other one. I was fully ready to take Gragson if you guys were going somewhere else. So I got to go follow my strategy here, and we'll see if it works.
I like it. That's what you got to do to win. You're going for the win.
I call that Phil flipping the stages here on us. We're 7 races in, and he's already doing strategy.
I'm
desperate, man. I'm desperate.
Hey.
He's got to get that first one under his belt. That builds the Momo.
That's right.
Why don't you lead us right into Hendrick, Phil? Because I don't think you're going to go with a crazy pivot here.
No, Kyle Larson. For all the reasons. I mean, he's the guy. And I kind of said it on the podcast on my show. It'd be stupid to take someone else, right? I can't imagine you guys are taking anybody other than Larson, just because anytime they come here, he's got the opportunity to win the race by a mile. I'm feeling confident as long as you guys are all doing the same, because he is checkers or wreckers here. The last 4 races, he's got 2, finishes outside the top 10. That's
checkers or water barrels.
Yeah.
That was a devastating one 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. He's had things kind of happen that are wonky. So anybody betting him plus 375 to win the race, good luck. He's shown that anything could happen to screw that up. But for this game that we're playing here, I have to take Larson because of just his prowess. And if there's anybody ripping the fence, it's him.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I'm not going to try to overthink this one. He's led an insane amount of laps here. Again, just some bonehead things or bad mistakes or things out of his control. Just, I don't know. He definitely had the race-winning car last week, in my opinion. Number 1 in my true performance scores at Vegas, even though he finished 9th or whatever. I thought it was kind of a wonky strategy by him and Byron, but maybe not their fault with the way everything played out and what they had to do. Uh, all right. So, Tino, Kyle Larson.
Yeah, Kyle Larson. I will say though, I have to give a nod to William Byron, just like how Brian said in the chat as well, because Byron, in this point, we're talking about checkers or records. If you guys want a safer bet outright, Byron's plus 850, and he's actually had, I feel like, better running speed than Larson at times at this track. But if you line him up with a restart with however many to go at Homestead, I'm just gonna put all my money on Kyle Larson up against anyone at this track. I also think it's a huge benefit that Kyle Larson is racing all 3 races this weekend. He will sweep all 3 races this weekend. I'm going to throw that in a parlay and win extra Kyle Larson money. And that is going to be awesome to see. It's been a minute since we've seen someone sweep an entire weekend. I saw him, Bob Pockers put up a post about him asking Kyle Larson about that. He says on the bucket list, but it's definitely something that would be cool to do. Kyle Busch was one of the last to do that, at Bristol or something like that. So, Kyle Larson getting extra reps at this track. He's going to be motivated to do it. And yes, Kyle, this is the home of the barrel smash. I was at that race when that happened. It was insane. The red flag, the sand all over the place for Kyle Larson doing that. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but definitely can see him winning this week.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun with him in all 3 races. Even if like somebody like, well, it's not going to be that fun if he just whoops everybody. But it's like, I don't know. It is kind of cool because there's been some really fast Xfinity cars, and the HMS car that goes out there is not always the best. So we could see some battles there. I don't know. Trucks, I think he might dust everyone. But Heim is just so goddamn good. I think it could be more fun than people think. All right, let's head into Joe Gibbs. I'll leave this one off. I was between 2 drivers here, Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin. Ultimately, I'm going with Bell, not just because he's won 1 million races this year. It's just because I think he's like really the only JGR guy that's consistently bringing a lot of speed. Denny, again, very underwhelming last week. And Bell wasn't great last week, but he had to start in the back. He just kind of stuck in traffic. Very tough race for him to come up through. I think he can show up a lot better this week. He was consistently in the top 5 the last time out here, starting 3rd, finishing 4th. Before that, he started 13th, led 26 laps, won the race. Even back in the day in 2020, when he was racing with Levine, he started all the way in the rear and had a top 10 finish here. So he's a guy that we always like to target on these high tire wear tracks. Granted, that's normally like a short flat track with some high tire wear, but he's like we said, he has no weaknesses. He's kind of morphed into this guy where now he's just like a great tire wear racer. And so all things equal, I think to the October race as far as temperature, humidity, all that stuff, and he was great there. I got to take Christopher Bell here over Denny Hamlin, so that's going to be my pick. Phil, who do you got here?
Yeah, for me, it's Christopher Bell. It's funny when we go to these tracks that you only go to once a year, these established veterans like him, he's only been here like 5 times. It's pretty wild to think about. He's that young. But he's got the best average finish out of everyone, or tied for first of the guy that I'll talk about later in the best of the rest. And, sorry, that's in the next gen era. And then if you look back at last year's high tire wear tracks, again, very small sample size, just Darlington's and this track, he's right there as well as a factor. 3rd in average finish, 6.7. Had some fast cars as far as speed rating is concerned. So he was 11-1 last night when I recorded my podcast. It's down now to like 850 last time I checked, but that was a travesty to see him at 11-1 rather. So jumped on that, and it's like, is he not the guy that just won 3 in a row? Like why are we disrespecting him? He's got the best average finish. So yeah, for me, Denny was a thought, but we've got one of the most hot on fire drivers in the game right now, going to a track where he's been consistent in 5 starts. Very solid numbers in a short career here. So it's got to be Bell for me, unless Tino convinces us otherwise.
All right, awesome. Tino, who you got for JGR here?
Well, no, I have to convince myself more and more that it is Christopher Bell, and to not. The only thing I have to convince myself is not throw all my money on him this weekend. Honestly, but for real though, in watching Vegas last weekend and seeing how Christopher Bell was able to. He was on my card early in the week, like to be placed later on. That's how I was sort of looking at him. Okay, 4 in a row is tough. How is he going to qualify? What's going to happen? And he went to the back, and I was like, all right, good. It gives me a reason to not bet on him because it's already hard enough to win 4 in a row. Then you're coming from the back at Vegas. I gotta say, he drove through the field. It was at one point Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Christopher Bell were the top 3 cars, at least speed wise. And to see him do that as surgically as he did at Las Vegas, I think he can win at Homestead Miami this weekend. Like, in the sense of maintaining who he's been all season, not just beating Larson or Byron, but dominating in that sense. I do want to touch on a couple of comments in the chat as well, because we all know C Bell and we all know how great he is. My second pick in this category would have been Denny Hamlin, like you had mentioned, Ryan, but Team 54 saying, please don't pick the 54 at all. Thanks. That was tough. Hey, I was at the dirt race as well. I wanted to touch on that too. It was great, seeing those boys rip around there. Awesome. My first dirt racing experience for the High Limit Series. Awesome action. Tough break for Ty Gibbs. I thought him stepping in that dirt car and everything in that sprint car and ripping around that dirt track would sort of ignite maybe a positive streak for him, just like Christopher Bell. Unfortunately, he flips over. So I will not be picking Ty Gibbs or the 54, and I'm hoping his luck turns around. But with that, also Kyle mentioned not Briscoe. And Briscoe is a good player to potentially pick in other areas this weekend, I would say. I don't trust him because of how just off he's been, but he is sitting at plus money for a top 10. Is that something that you guys would go with? I want to ask. Plus 125 right now on Caesars for Chase Briscoe to get a top 10 finish. And I need to note, he is one of the best drivers at ripping the fence. Like, we have to sort of keep that in mind. One, Darlington, similar type of track in terms of the corner entry and corner exit and getting the most out of that. Ryan, what do you think? Chase Briscoe for a top 10, would you do it?
I would not right now. I did read a recent interview with him. I'm sorry, I can't credit who interviewed him, but I read it quickly. He mentioned how different the JGR cars are set up and how he's, I don't know if struggling is the right word, but just really trying to get a grip on it. And it's something that he, from what I got from it, it's something that he thinks he can figure out, but it's not quite there yet. So I think that might be an explanation for some of his recent struggles. I think we were all very, very hot on him coming into this year without thinking that fully through, that it's going to be a new transition into a much larger team and spotlight. And then the cars being set up so differently is something that might have been overlooked as well. And he said it. So I think he'll eventually get there. But as of right now, I would stay away, especially too, because the numbers just aren't great. Phil, what about you?
Yeah, no, I would say the same exact thing. There, there are times when you're trying to get in on somebody before, they kind of break out and you're trying to get that nice payout, that nice number. But for him, I talked about him before the season started from a championship perspective. I thought that was going to be a nice longer number. I think his odds now are probably longer than they were to start the year. Missing 2 crew members for the next couple of weeks, that's not going to help him at all. At least, I can't see how it's a positive thing. So I'm fine in a situation like that where we let him go finish top 10 a couple times. And if I miss out on that, fine. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be bent out of shape missing out on a bet like that. So, I everything you guys said dead on. Very big disappointment right now. If we were ranking disappointments of the year, he would be at the top of it at the moment. So a lot of time to bounce back, obviously, but he's, from a gambling standpoint, he's definitely at the top of the board for me.
Him or, and I hate saying it with Team 54 in here. Team 54 is a great account. If you guys don't follow it, definitely go follow it. But I mean, I would just have to say that team's up for biggest disappointment of the year as well.
Or JGR, like from
just Joe Gibbs
two
Racing.
ends of the spectrum, right? Because you got Bell just dominating, and then you got those two just weighing everybody down. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's like he zapped them of all their powers. He's like a monster. All right, so let's get on there. The kids have been consuming my life, which is good. Let's stick with the B's. So we talked about Bell, Briscoe, I'll do my pick for Penske, and we'll go with Ryan Blaney. And to me, this one wasn't particularly close. Much better history here than his teammates. Back-to-back races at Homestead, where he's led a good chunk of laps and finished second in both those races. And he's another guy, like I mentioned with Bell, like he's becoming elite on these long runs where tires fall off. Like you just start seeing him pass through the field late in these runs. And that's really what you want to see here. Logano was really fast last week, but he only has one top 10 here in the three Gen 7 races. He's never led a lap here. Meanwhile, Blaney, is running out front, and he's a guy too that I like I just said, who can come through the field when people's tires fall off. So I never used to think that about Blaney, like way back when, but like he's with whatever they're doing now with these tires, I think he's great on the long run. So give me Blaney. Phil, we'll jump right back to you. Who you got here?
Same thing. Got to go Blaney. He's been bridesmaid Blaney here, as I call him. He's coming in second. Phoenix and Homestead, just struggling to get it done. But I like how the time calendar wise is not very far from when he let this one slip away. Maybe he's got this one circled. And everything you just said, he doesn't even qualify well here. He's like 12 point something average starting position. So that just goes to what you're saying about being able to come through the field. Even more of a reason, to feel comfortable about this pick compared to the other two guys, right? The other two guys, you're going to need a lot of things to come together with him. He could start 17th and you'd still feel good about him beating the other two drivers on his team. So, got to be
What's
Blaney.
cool about him too is like I feel like when we watch him on these long runs, a lot of these guys are just like stuck on the wall, and like he's one of the guys that will like run multiple groups, even late in a run or something. So it's just cool to see. Tino, who you got here for Penske?
All of the things that you guys mentioned are exactly why I'm going with Ryan Blaney, because to me, think situationally as well. And I alluded to this heading into Vegas with how he had a good car in Phoenix, maybe not the best, but a top 5 for sure, as he would have been like 7 straight top 5s or something like that at that racetrack. This car blows up. I was kind of saying, well, Blaney's going to be pissed. Look for him to run strong at Phoenix or at Vegas because of that. And he did. And he also came from the back and was one of the fastest cars all day. And then he gets into an accident and he gets wrecked and he gets frustrated and he gets mad and he gets pissed off and he's barking over the radio because he's that dog. And I would put Ryan Blaney up against Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, or any other driver at Homestead, Miami this weekend to win this race because of the situation we are in right now. He finished second. He's already trying to get his get back. He finished second off of the final corner and we saw him be mad about that and win in Martinsville last year. He, like Phil said, he's been thinking about that. And not only that, the last couple of races, he's had top 5 cars with nothing to show for it. He is more due than anyone else on the track, in my opinion. I think he can pass Kyle Larson, pass Christopher Bell for the win in this race specifically. Tyler Reddick, anyone. I think with everything you guys said, the long run speed matters so much at this type of racetrack. I can see it going green for a while, and Ryan Blaney passes the most cars in this one. And just like you guys said too, and we had the comments backing us up, Hot Pass was mentioning how Gregson sort of, qualifies low. So maybe, or deep in the field, maybe we wait until after practice and qualifying to take him. Brian then shouted out, same with Blaney. And that's what I wanted to mention in this segment too, because of that long run speed and of him having poor qualifying, we can get a better number. He's plus 650 right now to win the race. I'm waiting until after practice and qualifying. I think he probably is going to qualify no better than 8th to 10th, 12th range. We can see plus 700, plus 800, and I'm hammering that.
Yeah. If his number drifted out to that, I'd be on it. I couldn't take like the 4-1, 5-1s that started out the week, especially with him, going so early in qualifying. Why don't we'll stick with the Ford camp here and stick with Tino. Let's jump right to RFK. Who you got here?
Let's go. I'm glad you picked me here because I want to say I did want to tip my cap to Ryan Preece, not going with him, but I loved what I saw from him last weekend. I'm going Chris Buescher in this one. I think right now he is just far and away the best driver in this camp. Not sure what's going on with Brad Keselowski. Thought maybe Brad had a good shot to get his get back, as I've been saying, at Vegas. Just didn't do it. Just didn't have the speed at all. Ryan Preece, got the better finish, but I think it was Buescher that was performing better than both of those cars all day and has throughout this season. If we're talking about the Bs as well, we got Bell, Blaney, and Buescher. Maybe he's next up to win a race because of the B thing, but definitely Chris Buescher in this one for me.
Awesome. I'm gonna go Chris Buescher here as well because this is similar to what Phil was talking about with front row and Gragson. It's like I think I've been picking Brad like every week, and every week he is destroying me. So he wasn't bad last week, but that's about the first time he's done well for me. So I'm going with Busher. Just even though Brad had a decent finishing position last week, Busher was the stronger of the two cars, and it almost feels like everywhere we go now, Busher is the stronger of the two cars. Neither of them particularly qualify well, but Busher typically qualifies a little better, and he's just better throughout the race. So I don't know. Give me Busher. I just think it's a little more consistent. Busher has beaten Keselowski the last two times here at Homestead, so there's that too. So just they're not great finishes, but he's beating Keselowski. So give me Busher here. It's not like hard hitting analysis, but really neither of them are great here. So I don't have a lot of good stuff. Phil, who do you got here for RFK?
Phil, can you see the chat?
Oh, I saw that, and Big Ross and I are aligned.
Nice.
So let me give you the background here. Looking at the head-to-heads this week for the podcast, I was struggling to find head-to-heads, and I saw Busher versus Keselowski, and I dove into that, and it was basically like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. It was splitting hairs, and neither of them were that good. Like I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of gross." I don't really like any of this stuff. Sorry for the background noise if you hear it. And so then I was like, well, wait a second. What about Priest? And I just have a little bit of notes here written down. I don't have my computer up in front of me, obviously, but let's start with the consistent or the momentum. Third place last week, like out of fucking nowhere. Okay, we'll take that. And then at Homestead, 2 races in the next gen, 13th and 10th place finishes. That's small sample size, but the best average finish among them. And here's the thing about Priest that I love. He has had god-awful qualifying efforts. 32nd or 32.0 was his average starting position, and he still was able to make, lemonade out of lemons there. And so if he gets off the truck at any way faster than that, that's even better for me in this, selection here. High tire wears last year, his average finish on the 2 Darlingtons and this track, 13.0. He was 3 for 3, top 20s. So again, starting positions were dog shit. Found his way into the top 20. So I'm thinking that this could be another way to kind of be different than you guys. And if it doesn't work out, it's kind of just like, all right, Priest doing Priest things. But I see an upside here where, like I said, the other 2 drivers, I was struggling, and they didn't jump off the page to me. So we're going to take a shot here.
I love this. I
kind of got chills. I kind of got chills just now. I think we may be able to look back on this one and be like, Priest was the reason Phil got his first win. I'm not gonna lie. And same thing with Brian's been on it. We were talking about it when we were at Vegas. Only 6 guys go after Priest in qualifying with the new format they got going on and everything. That 3rd place finish for him was huge, with that potentially improving his qualifying effort and staying up towards the front, like you mentioned. Right? Oh, I got chills.
I love it. That's great, Phil. Let's keep the heat going then. You just lead off Spire and just let's go. What do you got here?
With Spire, I don't think we're going to be too different here. I can't imagine. I'm going with Carson Hocevar. Small sample size, pretty simplistic. Did well last year in his 1 Cup start, finished 9th. Had a really good race. He has a truck win here a couple years back, so there's that to kind of tip your hat to. But it's that small level of success, plus the fact that I don't trust the other 2 as far as I can throw them at this damn track. So it's a pretty 2 + 2 = 4 for me on that one.
Yeah, this is an easy pick for me. I'm Carson Hocevar. It's got a sting for him a little bit last week when he ran over 50% of his laps inside the top 10, finishes 30th, and his teammates who had no speed like his at all finished 14th and 16th. So tough to see him, it wasn't his fault either. So tough finish for Hocevar. And again, you mentioned his 1 Cup Series start, a top 10 finish here, qualified 15th. So just a top car throughout the day and a great run. Give me Hocevar here. Not much else to say about his teammates. So Tino, who do you got for Spire?
It's got to be Bosvar in this one, as he's coined himself on X due to the B winners with their last name. But for everything you guys have mentioned, and I'll throw in a little bit more. Last year, hosted Miami, in my opinion, one of the best races because it was in the round of 8, had a lot of high stakes, had a lot of great driving. We saw ripping the fence and everything like that, but it saw a lot of those playoff drivers racing inside of the top 8. Well, the only driver that wasn't inside the top 8, or who was inside the top 8 and wasn't a playoff driver, was Carson Hocevar. He was up there with the big dogs. We're talking every Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Blaney, Elliott, all of them, Byron, we're locked in. And I just was like, Carson Hocevar is not only inside of that group, but he's passing those drivers at this track. You pair that with the speed he's had this season. I will say it now. After watching 100-1 Josh Berry hit last weekend at Vegas, I will throw a little bit on 50-1 Carson Hocevar to win this week at Miami because of what I saw last week in there. Very least, I'll do a top 10 and feel good about it. I love what this kid's been doing. I was able to talk with him, like I mentioned, earlier in the week heading into Vegas, and he just has a great mentality, just focused on bringing speed to the track every week. And with those odds being that way now and seeing, right, like we kind of said the same things at Vegas. Oh, big dog's going to win. Big dog's going to lead. And they did, but Berry still won. Maybe we see that happen here early in this season with another surprise winner in Carson Hocevar.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, Hocevar has been so strong. Like you said, just running with the big dogs, passing some big dogs, just doing some great things this season. And picking, that's the momentum. I picked him in our season long league, which I will do, the scores for that. Probably after this week, I'll do that and we'll show it next week. But that's why I picked him in that. I just think he's, ascending into this next level, this higher tier. So it's really cool to see, especially with a Spire team. All right, let's go to Trackhouse. I'll leave this one off because I think it gives you guys a chance to pivot if you wanted to. Being so chalky with Carson Hocevar there, I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez to lead this one off. Kind of some similar things to what we talked about with last week. Like this was a car that definitely had a lot of speed. It's right there at the end with Barry. But I've liked the consistency that he's shown at Homestead. He's got no finish worse than 16 in his 4 runs with Trackhouse. He, again, like I said, brought great speed last week. He was 7th best in Greg's incident adjusted speed on Win the Race, faster than Chastain in incident adjusted speed. And one thing I've noticed is his team is incredibly fast on the 4-tire pit stops this season. I have 4th overall in 4-tire stops. So that's a great way. There's 10 sets of tires here at Homestead. They're going to matter so much. You get cautions. Going to have at least 2, with the stage cautions. So anytime he can pit and possibly gain some spots there, I love that. And if he can bring that same speed from last week, so someone who has been very consistent here, where Chastain has not, and bring that speed from last week. Give me Suarez here in what I think. I don't know. Is that contrarian or not? We'll see what you guys go with. Phil, go ahead here.
Yeah, so I actually have bets against both of these guys because they're good, not great. But it's a very cool thing to kind of look at when you're looking at them together because what you're getting with Suarez is someone who's likely going to finish 10 to 16 because he's been pretty consistent in that. I took the Caesars over 14 and a half because he's only done that twice in his life out of 8 races. 16 is great. 16 is a good finish for our draft, but it's right in the middle. And I think I'll take Chastain here, even though I went against him in a head-to-head matchup. I think in this situation, he has a much larger spectrum. And, going back a couple years in the next gen car, he was second. He had fast cars 2 years in a row. Last year was dog shit. He was very slow. But I think, he has a very high ceiling where he could finish 3rd, top 5, somewhere up there, or he could finish 30th. I'm willing to take the shot here that they find that speed. spring race, kind of not being in the playoff picture there, whatever reason, maybe that helps that team out mentally. I don't know, but I'd rather take the shot that he can go and be a race winning top five, for sure top 10 car, than a car that I know is going to finish 15th.
Yeah, yeah. I think in the position that you're in, that's a great pick here.
Yeah,
Because like you said, it just seems like the higher upside pick of the
situational.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tino, who you got here for Trackhouse?
So I have Daniel Suarez here. I was a little disappointed because I thought you would both be on Chastain. And where I do agree with Phil in the sense that's who Chastain should be, hasn't really been as good as I thought he was at this track. 6 races, only one of them he's finished inside the top 10, and it was a second place. Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
Wait a second. Look at some of those teams he was racing for. If you're going to go back his full career, give the man some respect. He was racing
Okay, fine.
goddamn cardboard box and fucking shopping cart wheels. Come on.
Premium motorsports for 2 of those years. I'll take that away. 4 years, only one finish inside the top 10. It was a second, and in those 4 years, only one state finish inside the top 10 in a stage. And it was the same year he had finished second, in which after that year, I was like, okay, he's someone to keep an eye on at this track. He did get in an accident, and he was started in 8th, got into an accident, finished 31st in 2023. But last year, started 22nd and finished 33rd. Was out of the playoffs. Like Phil also alluded to, maybe that is something, maybe that had an impact, maybe not. We don't know. But to me, with those results, I'd rather take a Daniel Suarez who could float around top 15, 20 for sure, rather than a boomer bust like Chastain.
Awesome. Tino, we have the same team now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you. I have 2
All right,
options for
good.
best of the rest. I'm going to let
Good.
you lead it off for best of the rest, and then I will pivot because I think
Okay.
I might have a good feeling we're on the same wild card. So there's a pretty obvious one out there. So go ahead, best of the rest. Who you got here?
All right, so best of the rest. I wanted to go in a couple different directions. Like, would be the only potential time to go with an Austin Dillon or Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but I chose AJ Allmendinger in this one for the best of the rest. I mean, I feel like that's the obvious play with him being very strong at this racetrack while qualifying back of the pack. Started 32nd last year, finished 8th. And this is a driver where we talked about Hosvar and Gregson. I'm betting on him for a top 10 finish, and I'm glad that we were talking about it too happening at Vegas, and then it did. He had a strong run there. So to bring that momentum into a track that's similar, for whatever reason, he's great at these racetracks. And that just has to be said. I feel like we always look at him as the road course guy, which he is. But when we come to these type of mile and a halves with the high tire wear and the long potential green flag runs, he's able to make ground plus 250 right now on DraftKings for a top 10. I'm going to wait on that because, like I mentioned, his last few starts, only one inside the top 10, Colleague Carr in 2022, and he finished 3rd. All of these other starting positions for him, 12th, 26th, 20th, 25th, 32nd, and still getting up there and finishing inside the top 10. That's why the dinger is for me.
Awesome. Dinger was going to be my primary. So
Okay.
I'll go to the secondary, who I have in my pre-practice qualifying ranks. I only have them 1 spot away from each other here. I do have Dinger slightly above him, just the next spot up. And then in our simulations, though, this is where, I'll use this as my secondary because I have Josh Berry minus 110 over Allmendinger in our race simulations. So, maybe that's a chalky-ish pick here coming off a win, or maybe it's silly because he has never, dominated here like he did Vegas in the Xfinity Series. But I got to take Josh Berry here just because everything we do simulation-wise, all the data we put into it, super confident in it. I had a bigger write-up for AJ here, which was really just kind of parroting what I said last week. And obviously, I think most people by now know his top 10 streak here at Homestead. But Barry seems like he's getting a lot of this Penske love here, and we talked about how great and fast Blaney's been here. Not so much for Logano, but it hasn't been much for Logano at Vegas either, and he shows he was wicked fast last week, all 3 of them. So I think Barry could maybe keep this momentum going, and although I don't think he's going back to back, I think it could be a very solid day. Solid qualifying, just maintain that position, show up fast again, and just, basically just don't mess up and hope nobody messes up and takes you out. So give me Barry here. Phil, who do you got for best of the rest?
Yeah, it's funny. I had both those two guys written down, and I'm going to go with AJ Allmendinger. You know, the only driver in the next gen car to have all three top 10 finishes. That's crazy.
Oh,
Tied
wow.
for the best average finish in the next gen car with Christopher Bell at 5.3. Just like when you see stuff like that from a driver like way outside, like it definitely gets your attention. You have to take advantage of it while you have it. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned the bad starting positions. It doesn't give you any issues there. If he does go out and not start great. I will throw this out there just to get something, a different element to this. He's head to head versus Carson Hocevar, and he's plus 115 the last time I checked. I think that was on DraftKings, and we know what we're getting with AJ. I mean, 13 career starts in an eclectic group of cars in his career, and he's got six, almost 50% hit rate for a top 10, three top fives. Meanwhile, Hocevar, we're high on him, but very little experience, very little sample size to go off of, and Hocevar to be minus 160 in that matchup is just mind-boggling to me. So, that's something to throw out there, maybe for folks to be aware of if you are high on AJ and you want something on him. Maybe top 10's a little too risky just to beat one driver. There it is, but AJ's my pick for the best of the rest.
Yeah, that's a great bet too. Where was that? That was at DraftKings?
See the chat there. Yeah, that was on DraftKings, I believe. I don't have it in front of me.
Awesome.
My phone is my video camera here.
All right. Well, all right. We'll get to the wild card now. You got some hockey to play in just a little bit here. I've not been taking the obvious wild card, and it's been biting me. So tonight we go with the obvious wild card, and leaves you to an opportunity to pivot if
Oh,
you want to.
wow.
But I go
I
William
didn't know.
Byron.
I didn't think that was I got to chime in real quick. I didn't think when you alluded to it before, I didn't think that was the obvious wild card.
Oh well, let me tell you why I
Yeah,
think it
tell
is.
me why. Yeah,
But
tell me why.
that's awesome that you have someone different. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. I'm
I
glad. I'm glad.
so he's only behind Larson in my true performance ranks from last week. Uh, and he's only behind Larson and Reddick in the incident adjusted speed in that race. His last four races at Homestead, he's finished first, 12th, fourth, and sixth. And when he finished 12th, he led 32 laps and finished both stages inside the top three. In five straight races at Homestead, he's never finished a stage outside the top eight, which is crazy. That's five straight races, all top eights inside the stages. I mean, dude's just up front. Gets to go off in the best qualifying spot here, too. So I would expect him to show up fast like he always does, qualify up front, and run up there all day with a chance to win, and do have a bet on him to win this race. So I love some William Byron. I love his pit crew, which we've mentioned the importance of that this week, having 10 sets of tires and all the tire wear we're going to see, 4 tire stops every time. Um, yeah, give me William Byron here for the wild card. Phil, who do you got?
Yeah, it was obvious for me too. William Byron was my pick. I was kind of hoping I would be the only one with him, but yeah,
You
you
and I
you
are
said it really
different.
well.
We're different enough here, though, so
Yeah,
you look
that's
pretty
why I
good.
feel confident. I'm not going to try to get cute, right? I was trying to get cute in a couple other spots. Willie B. I don't have enough guys with B in their name in my roster this week, so uh, you know he's got to be on my team. But yeah, I mean he's plus 850 to win the race. He's very capable.
Yeah,
Just to kind of echo, I mean, fourth in average finish in next gen car here, second in driver rating, third in speed rating. You're looking at speed rating on the high tire wear tracks last year. He's fourth. So yeah, just he's got the resume to be top five contending there at the end, and anxious to see who Tino goes with here. But Byron to me is he's as good as anyone in the series right now. So I don't want to leave him off.
Yeah, when I score this thing out, pre-practice and qualifying, I put a lot into it, and it's, there's 3 guys that have a good gap to the rest of the field, and that's, Larson, then Reddick, then Byron. So Tino, I'm very curious to see who you got here. So who's your wild card?
All right, boys. So I gotta say, respect the Byron pick. That definitely is who I should have been thinking should be my favorite wild card. But I'm glad it's not, because I'm going with Mr. Progressive Denny Hamlin in 6 of the last 10 Homestead Miami Speedway races, or at least race weekends. He's put it on the pole. He's won the. So yeah, maybe that doesn't really matter for the result, which is why we draft. But to be starting up front, to having the speed at this track, to me, in consecutive years like that, is because he is the man at this track. Or at least maybe he was before Larson and Bell and Byron and Blaney. But Mr. Old Man just got a new sponsor, blue colored car, looking clean, looking fresh. Shout out to Flo. To me, he's also been in position to win these types of races at Miami a little bit more than some of the other guys on the board, I would say. He finished 3rd here. Obviously, it was him, Reddick, and Blaney at the end last year in that playoff race and that epic finish. But also in 2023, he was up there. Him and Blaney were battling hard, and then he ends up, finishing 30th because of an accident. But in the stages where he's been running, the last 2 races, I'll break it down. Stage 1, 7th. Stage 2, 1st. Finished 3rd. Stage in 2022 or 2023, Stage 1, 6th. Stage 2, 4th. To me, with his driver rating being so high and running consistently inside the top 5 at this racetrack, I think he breaks through here. And I think at 13-1 to win right now, with him winning the pole in 6 out of the last 10 races at this track, I may have to place an outright on Denny Hamlin early in the week rather than later.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I was close to taking Hamlin over Bell. Very close. It just What worries me is just that speed we saw last week. That's just is like stuck in my head. But I mean, if you're gonna bet him, and with those qualifying stats you mentioned, maybe you do bet him early. And if he goes out there and is blazing fast when he shows up, I mean, I think he goes. I don't have it right in front of me, but I would imagine he goes like mid pack. I don't know, but we'll see. Good time to bet him. The numbers have been, like you said, when Bell was out to like 11, I think Hamlin was out to like 13 at one point or something. When you get the favorites like Larson down to 3-1, some places just opens up that other value. Uh, so yeah, cool pick there. I love our teams this week. I think we got a good range here. As chalky as it started, we ended up, quite different in a few spots. So it should be a lot of fun. We've donated to some really great charities so far. So I know whoever wins will pick something cool and try and make a difference the best we can. Um, I know, Phil, you got to get to dropping this puck, playing some hockey here. So why don't you let everyone know where they can find you? And again, everyone, thank you so much for listening, tuning in, commenting, everything. Please, give it a like and subscribe and tell your friends and anyone you know who likes NASCAR. Phil, where can people find your work?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. Good time. I'm glad. I hope I was coming in clear, and not cutting out. Um, this is, if so, it'd be good to know. Can do this road game situation. Hopefully, I get a dub on the road. But yeah, Full Tank with Phil, name of the pod, and at Full Tank Phil on Instagram for the race day cars, and X obviously to talk shop. Um, Appreciate you guys. I'm excited. I think this is an opportunity for me to get on the board, and you know, going on vacation next on Saturday. So whether I'll be on the show next Wednesday or not, we'll have to see if I have a pinch hitter. I would love to get a win before I need someone to pinch hit for me. So we'll see how that shakes out. But appreciate you guys as
Well,
always. And
pinch hitters are 1-0, so,
they are.
you
And
know,
Matt
yeah,
Stairs. Matt
Yeah.
Stairs.
cool.
Little baseball reference there for you.
All right, awesome. Tino, where can everyone find your work?
Phil, real quick, before I get into some Tino Patino, tell us about this hockey game. Give us a little preview. I mean, playoffs. You gonna are you a goalie? Are you gonna score? Are you deep? Like, what are we thinking? Give me a little breakdown.
Yeah, man. No, just yeah, played my whole life. We got first round. We were the 5th seed, I think, out of 8, and we're playing the 4 seed. So got to get the energy level up. You know, been sitting on this wooden chair for a while. Got to get stretched out.
What
I'm
position? What position do you play?
left wing.
Nice.
Definitely not enforcer. If you see me in real life, I'm 5 foot nothing. But got the.
Are you lefty?
speed.
Are you lefty left wing or righty left
No, I
wing?
play offhand left wing, so I like coming in on my forehand.
Nice.
So yeah, growing up, like in high school, college, I played right side. But yeah, so hopefully,
Awesome.
the downside is if we keep winning, I'm not here next week. But if we keep winning the championships at 8 o'clock, 2 Wednesdays from now, and I won't be able to do this if that was the case. But that's a long way from now.
So who is that in real life? Like Ovechkin? He's a left wing righty that like one times it and stuff when they
He
pass
definitely
across.
plays that on the power play. Yeah, I don't know what he does in on 5-on-5, but yeah, that would be that.
Sick. That's
I
awesome.
appreciate that. You can think of me like that. That's perfect.
Yeah. Ovechkin.
Phil Vetchkin. But yeah, best of luck to you, Phil. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Big Ross, Brian, Robert, Kyle, Split Cut Coco. Check him out on YouTube. Check out Team 54 as well. Everyone in the chat, Hot Pass as well. Appreciate you guys commenting. Means a lot to us and helps us, go throughout the show and potentially help you guys any way we can. If you have any questions, Chris in the chat as well. So thanks so much to everyone there. You can follow me at Tino PATTIGNO. You can hear me on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Tune in to Sports Rapper Jason Page. I'll be posting, a lot of stuff on my own social media platforms as well. My time in Vegas, some drivers I talked to, and a lot more stuff there. So I appreciate everyone and continue to stay tuned in to everything we got going on here.
Awesome. You guys can find me wintherace.info. We'll simulate the race 20,000 times for all 3 series. It's a fun time. Last week we did Xfinity for free. My betting card was a perfect one. It was a great week. We had to sweat it out, but it worked. So great, phenomenal run by Allgaier at the end of that too. For anyone that watched, what a boss ending to that race. Dude just crushed it. So thank you all for listening, tuning in, commenting, everything. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all for tuning in to episode 7 of The Draft. Good luck this weekend.